I'm Robbie Aronson, and this is The Bottom Line, Liverpool from the USA.
Welcome to The Bottom Line, Liverpool from the USA. I'm Robbie Aronson here with Ethan Berg, and we're going to talk about Liverpool. Now, it's an international break this week, which gives us a little bit of time to talk about our fans. This is the first one that's really reached out to be a part of the show, and we want you to reach out and more fans. We want this to be an American fan-driven show. Now, Ethan, I want to ask you, you go to school in Los Angeles at Occidental College. You wake up at what time in the morning to watch Liverpool play?
Well, I try and get up around 30 minutes before the game, so sometimes that'll be a 4 for the 4:30 matches if the scheduling is very unfair. And then a lot of times there's some nice 8 o'clock games or 8:30 games, so it's not too bad on the West Coast, but normally I do live on the East Coast in New York City, so I do get a little better 11 o'clock games.
Where would you address in the summer? How would you fix the team? What pieces would you get rid of? Like, what positions do you think Liverpool really need to sign in the summer?
The three, I'd start out highlighting probably another center forward, like an out-and-out goal scorer. I'd go with a backup right back for Trent, just to be able to, give him competition, but also to give him some rest. I don't think burnout is really good for a 22-year-old, especially how valuable and how the future we want for him, especially at the club. And I'd say maybe another center midfielder to combat the loss of Wijnaldum. That might happen, unfortunately.
Now, we got a lot of pieces there. I first want to ask you about Nico Williams, because you said Liverpool needs another right back. We've seen flashes of brilliance out of Nico Williams, and we've also seen, understandably for a young kid, some moments where I don't know if he'll make the grade at Liverpool. What's your opinion on that? Do you think it's essential to get a backup right back with Nico Williams in the academy?
I guess I'll start out with just a simple fact that everyone wants 11 starters who come out of the academy. But I think for Nico specifically, I think he's a championship level player, which obviously is no slight because I'd kill to play in the championship myself. But I just think he's just not at that level, especially for Liverpool. And I think at some point he can either want to be the backup, and maybe Klopp is okay with his quality being the backup. But I think even for personal ambition, there comes a time when he needs to further his own career. But also, that's the business of the academy. It is producing players and selling them on for a decent fee that pays for all of it. So there's nothing wrong with that, I'd have to say.
This is a Welsh international as well, but I want to go on to the midfield problem, which is what you were saying about needing to address that. It's likely, not definite, but it's likely that Gini Wijnaldum will leave to Barcelona in the summer. Again, not set in stone. Should Liverpool be letting him go, A, and B, what kind of a midfielder then do you need to replace him? Seeing as you have Curtis Jones coming up, you've got Naby Keita, who, for lack of injuries hasn't played. You still have Jordan Henderson there, Thiago Alcantara, Fabinho. So, how would you address that, as you had said earlier?
I'd love to keep Gini. The 2 goals against Barcelona are iconic at this point. But I don't think the club wants to pay him in the top bracket, or they don't think he's a top bracket wage earner, which, I don't think we're the club that can just throw around wages like that. So I think from a business standpoint, it's, you got to do what you have to do. I'd love to keep him, but I don't see it going that way at this point. I think they would have signed the deal already.
I've seen some links actually recently for Coutinho coming back because, Barcelona, I can't even follow if they still owe Liverpool money.
Yeah.
They paid it off. Every day I see different rumors, but would you welcome Coutinho back? And to your point also from before about needing a striker, I recently saw rumors about Luis Suarez coming back to the club. And believe it or not, I saw an Instagram post from Jose Enrique that posted a picture of Luis Suarez signing a contract. And the post was liked by John Achterberg, who is the goalkeeper coach for Liverpool. Now, that could just be a friendly liking of the post. They work together. Or could it signal something else? Would you want Suarez back, and would you want Coutinho back?
I'd lead more to Suarez. I would never want Coutinho back, but that's just the type of spiteful person I am. I think, especially because of the amazing success we've had, I think Coutinho was an amazing player, and I can never say because he left we got better, but I think it opened up a different side of the team. We were more ruthless. We could press harder. We could obviously influence the fullbacks better. And Coutinho unfortunately was a liability when we played him in the 8 or at the 10 in the 8 position, and he just couldn't track back, and we didn't have that sort of bite that we do now, or we did last year, I'd have to say. I'd say Thiago, quite frankly, was their attempt to get a Coutinho-esque player in there, but he once again can play obviously with a 2 in the midfield, but also he's a little more. I mean, obviously with the yellow cards, you can see he's a very hard tackling player.
Going back to your striker rumor is Daka out of RB Salzburg, who we played in preseason over the summer, scored 2 goals against the Reds. Have you seen him? Have you seen the rumors? It's it's all 17 million pounds. Is that a kind of player you'd want? One of those like hidden gems, or you want one of those Haaland or Mbappe's, which probably are unrealistic, especially if Liverpool don't make the Champions League. But what kind of echelon of player?
I mean, I think the Daka, that would be an incredible transfer for us. I mean, to be able to like nab him away from like the RB like pipeline and him not go to Leipzig would be a good piece of business for us. He's like tall, long, quick, can finish the ball. Like, what else do you need as a number 9? I mean, there's a lot of rumors we're moving someone on out of the front three, so it would probably be Firmino, and then I feel like Daka would be the cheap replacement that in a couple years will be at the level that we really want him to be. I think that's something the club is trying to focus on, is like sort of beat the middleman in terms of transfers and like not overpay unless you need to overpay for the players of like Alisson and Van Dijk's quality.
Which players would you choose need to move on in the summer?
I'd say Origi needs to go. I think they've really been trying to get rid of him, but they've been reluctant on the price, and I think that's been a mistake because I think they could have brought someone in like Daka maybe even in the summer if they were a little more just willing to compromise, because I think they've ripped off a lot of teams, and I think they're too addicted to the rush of that they won't just sort of play the game. I'd say maybe I would say Ox, just because I think Klopp doesn't trust him at this point. Like, he won't even get a game. I think, like at some point the wages are too much, and we need to be able to get players who Klopp trusts and who can play. And I think he's great for the locker room, especially with the British boys. But I think at some point, unfortunately, he's just been belittled with injuries, and at some point, we shouldn't be paying for his rehab all the time. But in the third, I'd say Shaqiri, I guess, is another sort of decently high wage earner who Shaqiri has magic, and it seems like Klopp trusts him more than Oxlade-Chamberlain. But I just think he doesn't seem to be able to fit in every system or every phase we can play at. So he becomes a sort of another liability or another player that we have to alter around.
I want to ask you, in your lifetime, obviously there are great Reds like Kenny Dalglish and Ian Rush who we've never seen, but in your lifetime, and it would be hard to pick a system, but what is your Liverpool 11 of the best players you have seen?
A lot of it's from this current team, quite frankly. I'd say Alisson in goal, Trent right back, Van Dijk. I love Gomez. I've been on the Gomez train since he came from Charlton, but I'd put Hyypiä. Sorry, Carragher as well. I love, the 700 appearances is amazing. But I'd go Hyypiä next to Van Dijk, then Robertson next to him. I'd probably play Fabinho at the 6 with Gerrard and Alonso is my 3 midfield, with then Suarez. But I dressed up as Torres' Halloween, so how am I going to not put him in my 11? I would say Suarez, Salah, and Torres. Sorry, Mane. Torres was too lethal.
Thank you again to Ethan for being on the show, and you'll never walk alone.
I'm Robbie Aronson, and this is The Bottom Line, Liverpool from the USA.